All right, today we're going to talk about the state of creative. We're going to do a two-part series. In this one, we're going to focus on all the creative, kind of everything but ads. I think that's kind of a good way to dissect it. We're going to have Maggie, who is our go-to creative guru here, help us kind of talk about the modern tools in the everything but ad world. And then next week, we'll have Alex come in and talk to us more about ads. Maggie is the person who edits this podcast and makes it hopefully sound great on Spotify. And so she uses Descript for that. She's also doing a lot of our organic social for not only RankFuse, but for some of our clients. So she's a Canva guru. What other creative tools are you using, Maggie?
Let's see. I mean, you covered the big two, Descript and Canva for sure. I definitely use a lot of the AI tools on that. They have some AI tools on Go High Level that I've played around with a little bit as far as like the scheduling and the, what is it called? The post times.
Yeah, like CRMs right now are going through a AI wave. Whether you're using High Level, I don't think it matters. Even like Acton and Pardot and MailChimp, even if it's not really a CRM, it's more of a email platform. But they're all like, hey, we can use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or pick your LLM to help us build better. So they're all kind of, I think the backbone is still kind of like we're using Nano Banana for everything, but we're portaling it through our platform. So are you using Nano Banana on everything? Or is it actually the CRM?
I mean, that's a good question. I've used Nano Banana like on the little Gemini bubble. I think Canva has its own kind of image generation thing. They just released a new function of it called magic layers, because it used to be that, you'd get the AI generated image and like that's the image. You don't have a ton of freedom to play around with it. But they just updated the feature called magic layers where you can make this AI generated image and then you can still go in and customize stuff and resize things and let me change that font, and kind of breaks it down into more the individual layers, which I think is awesome and gives you a lot more of that creative freedom. Because the issue that I had with a lot of the AI generated creative is it's good, but if you change X, Y, and Z, it could be a lot better. And so now I think AI is kind of getting to that place with, the creative, the image generation where you can still go in and exercise a little bit more of that creative control. I think that's the direction we're moving in.
I think so. We are kind of also past the point of AI is coming. We should be prepared to figure all this out too. Now AI is actually here. How do we incorporate it into our agency so we can do better things for our clients and for ourselves? And so I think this is a conversation that whether you're in-house at a company, working at an agency, or you're just a small business owner, you need to know that there's maybe a reason that everybody's creative is starting to look the same. Why does everybody's Instagram and TikTok and all those, what's that one that they use a lot of templates on, the 5-10 second.
Like CapCut?
CapCut. Like everybody's using the same CapCut.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's just the manner of social media, is that everybody does the same thing over and over until it's beat to death.
It's also how you get likes, I guess, or it's how you get views is if you're using a trending audio or something.
Yeah, like on our RankFuse TikTok. Everyone go follow the RankFuse TikTok.
No, don't do that. It's a playground for fun.
Well, office humor, it's part of our brand.
It is.
You have to plug the socials.
It's Maggie's playground. So staying in the creative lane of kind of what the tools we are, I think we can kind of walk through some of the tools and talk to the tech stack of kind of what does what's good, what's bad, what's changed a lot in the last 6 months or a year, and maybe kind of what's on the bleeding edge and what's like things that you're still kind of like, it's still working, it's still coming, but this is evolving fast. So let's do the easy one first. Let's just do Canva. Is it just a design tool that you use for social media, or is it a little bit more these days? Leading question.
I mean, I definitely think it's a multi-purpose kind of application. You're primarily using it to make visuals, and they've kind of expanded a little bit into the video kind of space now. But you really can use those visuals kind of for whatever purpose you want. They've integrated a lot of, more AI features with image upscale. You can take photos that you already have and kind of up the quality. You can sort of use the AI expand. Oh, maybe this image doesn't fit the right aspect ratio. You can update that. They have some caption kind of generation help with that. But yeah, they're primarily just, that visual function.
Is Canva kind of why everybody's stuff looks the same, or is Canva doing a good enough job of making your brand, your logo, your colors come through, or is it kind of like everybody kind of uses the same?
I mean, it's definitely not perfect. It's kind of the same we see with a lot of the other AI tools where it's almost there. It's almost perfect, but there's usually just like one or two things that are kind of off. They have this function on Canva where you can do, I don't know the right word for it, but basically you can make different buckets for different brands and set different brand colors and fonts and that kind of thing. And it will stay within that bucket if you've selected it, but you have to go in on the front end and kind of set that up and tailor it. If not, it'll just give you the same kind of, I don't want to say generic, but we'll say crowd pleasing.
Yeah, they have a thing called the brand shield, and it's supposed to auto-enforce brand guidelines into your creative. So you're not having to spend time prompting or changing hex colors and things like that. But the AI slop does seem to get put into a little bit of the Canva AI generation. Nano Banana's guilty of this too, so I'm not trying to pick on Canva here, but just AI creative tools in general, they're overpolished. They're too perfect. Are people starting to we've had a content conversation about the written word and, the overuse of the M dash and writers having to write or maybe even put intentionally an error into their content because they don't want it to be flagged as AI content. Do you see people pulling back on AI creative going, it's too perfect? I want people to think I'm a real brand with not just AI generative featured images on my blog posts or any capacity for social media to kind of go, this is too perfect.
I definitely think on, the consumer and the audience level, I think audiences want to see that imperfectness. They want to be able to tell, hey, a real person kind of put effort into this, almost that fingerprint on the lens, so to speak. They kind of want that human signature. I think a lot of it could also be more of the branded content, I think, is perfectly polished. It's AI. Everything is to the 100. It's very perfect. Whereas more on the independent or the artistic level, people definitely want that, that human signature there at the end.
Yeah. There's the levels of where you want perfect and where you don't want perfect. Let's think about infographics were kind of a word for a while, and people loved infographics, and a lot of people gravitated towards that. And one of the creative tools that I haven't mentioned yet on this episode is Notepad. LM just came out with some new tools, right? So now it can make it an infographic. It's one of its core functionalities is, oh, you want me to make an infographic out of this? And the answer is yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I want you to use the data in my knowledge hub and my source material, and I don't want you to mess that up. I need it to be factually correct. Don't mess up the important part, which is sharing the knowledge and sharing the information. But the art side of that is, but make it look cool.
Yeah.
Put a little swoopy swoop with the background that does this, and then fade it to black and fade it to this color, and put my logo in there so it looks cool. And it can do that. And so you're kind of you're asking AI to be perfect in some spots, but then also, put a coffee smudge in the corner or something. Make it look like I just didn't go full AI on this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you want it to look high effort, because if you wanted it to look low effort, you just do it yourself. You'd pull up the Word document,
ask me to do
just type it out. But
hey, Kevin, try this.
But with those, you want it to look like, you put some time and effort into it, which is where you can make it look like time and effort went to it without actually having to devote that time and energy. Maybe redirect that towards, other things. That's where AI can be kind of helpful in those functions.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes into, people are more okay with video production being a little bit lower quality. I
Mhm.
feel like that's one of the things that like we could record this podcast and not have a lot of fancy lighting, and they're like, okay, at least
Yeah.
you're real. So who knows? Maybe we'll put video behind this in the future. But the idea is I could put a nice graphic over the top of it. I could put a nice artistic intro where like you have theme music and it's like boop 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 boop, and everybody's having a good time, and it looks high end on the front end, on the intro, and on the back end. But in the middle, it's just you and I having a conversation, and that's authentic. And so people are kind of going to those spaces where, yes, I want some production value in your effort. I don't want you to like not try, but I also don't want it to be over polished and sound like you ran this through an AI machine. I keep saying right now because now I'm thinking about the word We in the software we do the editing, the 4 or 5 I just said there. When we do the editing on this, Maggie's going to take the out, and we're not even going to hear the ums.
Yeah, there's a function. We use Descript to record and edit these podcasts. There's a function that's like remove filler words, edit for clarity. It'll find highlight clips for you, make them into a reel. Like it's a much more intuitive editing process than, the more labor intensive platforms like Premiere or, God forbid, DaVinci. This is definitely a much more equitable, kind of for everybody editing software. And those AI tools help a lot with those kind of more clean it up a little bit, make it look professional.
It'd be fun trying to go back and edit those last 3 minutes. So good luck with that. Even better. Good luck. But yeah, that's where you can be a little more authentic. You're like, you know what? I'm just going to have the ums and the yas and the likes in my podcast because that makes me sound like a real person. And then when I try to become a better podcaster in the future, I'm just going to try to humanize myself out of those likes, like don't want to sound like that. Let's try to be better. So that's what we're going to try to do. And then when we get to Descript as a platform, it's got some AI built into it as well. It's pretty cool. Notebook LM and Descript have these kind of LLM chatbots where you can just talk to it and say, hey, I want you to do this or that. You've sat on some trainings and some webinars. What's Underlord? Is that the name of the AI?
Yeah, I think that's I can't remember if it's just their image generation aspect of it or if it's the whole thing, but
I think you can ask it to do audio things in Descript. You can say, hey, boost the bass or something, and might increase the equalizer, I think.
I think it can do that. I haven't played around too much with it because we typically have our audio settings, not too bad. We're still kind of figuring that out a little bit, but I sat in on a kind of webinar about their image generation aspect of it, and you can kind of give it a before it start of the frame and the start of the clip and the end of the clip, and it'll fill in the middle spots, and it's kind of a helpful tool for storyboarding. There's a couple different functions for that, which is interesting. So
I feel like that kind of goes back to, is it really their technology or are they using Nano Banana? Because Nano Banana, that was kind of the first thing that Nano Banana kind of came out with was start with your image, and you could upload a start image, and you could upload the last frame image and ask it to build you the 8-second clip in the middle, and it would do a pretty good job filling in that. How did she get from, the dining room table into the kitchen? If you take the same picture kind of from the same spot, it'll make her walk into the kitchen.
Cobble it together.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how AI can do that.
But going back to your Nano Banana question, I don't know if it's just because Nano Banana came first and everyone else is trying to, maybe copy those models, or if they're actually utilizing those models. But I see how maybe they took inspiration from Nano Banana.
It's hard to be a SaaS company and do one thing well. It's harder to do a SaaS product like Descript or Canva and also develop your own AI along with it. I'm not sure what everybody's doing, but I'm going to hedge and go, it's a lot easier just to plug an API token in and let it do its thing, because tomorrow it'll be better, the next day it'll be better, and I don't know if I can keep up with that. Agencies are the same way when it comes to CRMs. I don't want to have to claim that I have a CRM or white label or resell a CRM and say, look how awesome my CRM is. I spent hours on this. And you're like, no, it's you're just a white label reseller of a CRM. You didn't invent Salesforce or HubSpot. Just pass it through and call it what it is. I don't think right now those software tools like Descript or Canva are going to be like, yeah, we're just asking Nano Banana the same question that you could go ask Nano Banana directly yourself, but we're going to put it in the portal so you don't have to do that. It's a time saver. It connects your project. It's kind of like a data warehouse of here's where you were working on this, and here's where we can kind of incorporate some of our actual software functionality with AI and kind of built the bridge for you so you don't have to like copy and paste and move things around later. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I don't think everybody's coming up with their own AI.
Yeah, I could definitely see that because I feel like it's A, expensive to develop your own, and B, takes a long time. And I feel like these AI tools are popping up like there's a new one every week.
Here's the test. If Descript next week goes, and now we can make 30-second clips, guess who they're using?
Probably Nano Banana.
Gronk.
No N.
Oh yeah, it's a football player. Sorry. Sorry to the football player. Grok, not Gronk.
No affiliation.
No affiliate. Sorry, Grok. The Elon Musk.
Yeah, the
Twitter
X.
AI. Whatever, X AI. Grok, not Gronk. It just came out and their marketing material says, I got the email, whatever, a couple days ago. We can now do 30-second B-roll clips. And there's this like, instead of like the frog, jumping off the lily pad that takes, 8 seconds. Now it's like you zoom in on a butterfly on a flower, the butterfly flies away, then this frog pops up out of the water and then jumps on the, it's like, oh, you can like stitch this whole storyboard together instead of making it 5, 6, 7-second chunks. It'll just do the whole thing in 30 seconds.
Interesting.
So it's going to extend the life of making B-roll, and maybe just sometimes B-roll is not great because it's too short. Maybe you really only need 20 seconds of it or 10 seconds of it or, whatever it is, but it's nice to have the full 30 because then you can kind of edit, and it's easier to have too much material than it is to have not enough.
Yeah, that was an issue. I played around briefly with Sora. I think that's OpenAI's sort of short video clip production, side brand. And that was a big problem that I had with a lot of that, is that it was so short, or that would end in a totally drastically different place than it started. We were kind of still in the era of extra fingers at that point. But I think even within the last year, stuff's gotten so much better in that aspect,
Yeah. We still use old tools, or at least my credit card tells me that we're still paying for Shutterstock every month. We have a mixed account, which means we're not just buying images. We're also having the option, at least, to like exchange those tokens for B-roll video and for audio, right? So if we want to buy a video, it's like the same price as one image. So agencies kind of have flexible accounts. Maybe business owners want that kind of thing too. But my point is, just because AI is here and we're leaning into Nano Banana and Descript and Canva now, and they can make some really cool stuff, we don't always have everything in the can. And we also don't always have like the good starting graphic or image to really convey what we want. So are people using, or can you use Shutterstock still in this day and age as I need a photo of X, and it'll have one ready, or is Shutterstock using AI to do whatever they're doing? What's Shutterstock up to? Are they keeping up, or are they gonna die?
I've seen they've started mixing in, some AI images. They are pre-generated, like you don't search and it makes one for you. There's somebody else generated them and put them on the site. But I typically see it a lot, especially with we have a bridal client, and so you search certain pictures of wedding ceremonies and that kind of thing, and there's a lot of pretty more specific stock videos and imagery that have been AI generated, because it's cheaper to make a hyper-specific AI generated something than it is to set up a whole photo shoot of this one specific thing that, maybe not everybody's going to be able to use and pay for or want to pay for. But I think there's kind of integrating it in the search function with that, maybe a fourth of the stuff, maybe not even that much, maybe like a fifth or a sixth of the stuff you see on your search functions is AI generated.
So people are going in there and just creating. Are they uploading AI into Shutterstock, or are they using Shutterstock to create AI?
I don't think that they have like a generation function. Let me just fact check that real quick. But from what I've seen, it's being like uploaded by people. Like, how photographers go on there and
like a real photo.
Apparently, they do have an image generation platform there.
Maggie's fact checking herself here in real time.
That. See, that's why you got to fact check yourself. You don't want to spread wrong information, image and video.
They can do that. My thought, or my, and if it costs extra, people might have to pay extra. But if Nano Banana is part of something else and it's free, could you download the bride? Let's stick with that, and say, give her a veil, and then have her walking through a park on a windy day. But you bought the image, you own the image, the original source, and then you uploaded it into a AI platform, and then you're like, go do this with this image.
I'm sure you could. I mean, it sounds to me like that would work. I haven't personally tried, to do that with like a stock image or anything, but if in theory these platforms can take, the beginning image of a the B-roll clip and turn it into something, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't see why it would.
It may not be perfect on the first try, but
yeah, I think it would be cool experiment to try. Like, how do you take old technology that gives you, like, when we used to do blog posting, or when we do blog posting, but 5-10 years ago, it was like, hey, we need a featured image, or we need to put some images into this article. Can we just go run to Shutterstock and grab some stuff? Yes, we can. Here you go. Very, 2012 through, 2019, 2020 kind of blog style. But now when we start writing and we start doing creative things, we're going to use Notepad LM to maybe try to pull some data and maybe make a cool graphic, make a chart, make an infographic, make something cool out of the data part of it. That's fun creative right there, right? So that's maybe a notebook LM thing. Then we're going to want to take that and maybe enhance it to make it more clickbait, for lack of a better word. Like, if I'm going to turn this out to Instagram and LinkedIn, it needs to have a cool featured image. So how can I take a basic picture of a bride and make it enhance that, make it look more like something I want to read? Do we got to put text over the top, whatever? And do you do that manually, or can just AI do that now?
I feel like it depends on the tool you're using. Some of them are a little less advanced than others. I've used Claude a lot for sort of like that infographic generation. I think Claude does a decent job of that, especially like summarizing an article or something. Here are this person's stats. Make me a infographic of their success. Like,
I was saving Claude to the end because that's my news.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. We're getting to the end. That's the new secret weapon. I'm really fascinated and impressed by what Claude can do now. You're looking at it from a image generation, and I'm looking at it from a little bit different but still creative angle of, I can ask it to do UX and wireframe and design. I can ask it to do the audit and say, hey, what's good, what's bad, how can I improve this landing page? And then it'll be like, well, you need to do this. You need to do this. Here's your social proof. You need to have social proofs here. You need to have your call to action here. You need to simplify this. Make it a bulleted list. People are actually going to read. Don't make it words that people are going to like want to skip. And then it'll be like, that's what you should do to this landing page. Oh, also, I looked at 3 of your competitors. Their wireframes look like this. And that used to be kind of be like good enough AI. I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you for all that information. Now I can go ahead and code that up for me. Turn that into a JSON script that I can upload into Elementor. And now I have all the recommendations, all the design and creative thoughts that we just kind of spitballed back and forth. And I kind of threw my 2 cents in. You kind of, went back and forth with me on if that is that a good idea, is that a bad idea. And now, an hour later, it's done. And it's not like I have to hand this over to a creative person now and go, do all these things that we just did in a CRO optimization, the conversion rate optimization arm of the company doesn't have to wait for the design arm of the company to be like, I think you should move this form up higher on the page and put the social and put a testimonial block right here.
Move that title 4 pixels to the left.
Those days are like over.
Yeah. The thing I really like about Claude is that it's receptive to like the feedback. Because some AI tools, you're like, oh, change that. I like that thing you made, but I don't like, the title's a weird font, or that's a random picture of, I don't even know who that is. Some AIs are not very, or like maybe they don't totally understand what you're asking them to correct. But whenever I've asked Claude to be like, well, that's not right, or move that over, I don't have to like basically reprompt it again. I can just say, hey, edit that. Oh, fix it, instead of starting from scratch.
Yeah, it's also really good at case studies. Case studies is a bit of a creative exercise. You could use a lot of different tools to come up with a nice PowerPoint presentation. You gotta put charts, you gotta put scorecards, you gotta color code, you gotta, put the summary in, you gotta like put the testimonial in from the client. And I've experimented in the last couple of days, weeks with Claude, asking it to take a set of data and summarize it for me. Here's 12 months worth of data, and like make a case study out of it, and it will do a great job. It'll do the things we just talked about at the very beginning of the call, which or the episode is, hey, I want you to be creative and take chances and make it look real, where I want you to do that. But also, if I give you a spreadsheet and I give you data and I give you math, the math better be mathing at the end of this exercise. Because if I come back at you and I see that you messed up my conversion rate and all the numbers are wrong, then I'm not going to use you again, because you're a worthless piece of software. And it's figured that out to go, okay, I got to be right here. I got to be perfect every time here. This is where Kevin likes to mix things up and make his charts and make his stuff look pretty and fun and cool. So it's doing a great job of that. Love it very much. Anything you want to throw on that?
I mean, I definitely agree. We talked on the podcast before about how, sometimes LLMs will assume data or maybe make stuff up and give you kind of what they think you want to hear. Mm-hmm. I think we're moving away from that. I think AI platforms are focusing on that accuracy. Like, we need to be at least perfect in our information delivery. Like we were kind of talking about with the infographic, where it's like, this information needs to be factually correct, but you can have fun with the design. I think we're moving towards more, that perfection in that aspect. As much perfection as a man-made thing can have, because AI at the end of the day is still man-made.
Yeah, it is. How do you you probably have more artistic abilities beyond what we do and what we talked about here, but like, are you still looking back at Photoshop or video editing software and looking at some of the AI that is starting to be built in those, as maybe those are the future? Or are you just kind of happy with the turn and burn Canvas and the Descripts, and you're looking for more AI and looking for more automation? Or is there a part of you that's like, man, I kind of liked back in the day where it was like I could have a little bit more of a full suite of software with all the bells and whistles, and I could really get deep into Photoshop if I needed to, and the AI layer was just kind of an assistant versus the driver?
I think definitely if you're in a creative role, especially in your job, I think it's important to have a balance of both. I think you need to have those technical skills, at least as a foundation, because, I mean, we've been singing the praises of these, image generation and video generation, that kind of thing, but it's still not 100% tailored. Like, you will never have as much 100% creative control as if you go into Photoshop or XYZ and really sit there and pick every pixel apart. That's not what you're looking for if you're using these AI functions. I think that we've come a long way. I think that there's pros and cons to both. I mean, It definitely saves a lot of time. It helps me. I like to use it as like kind of a starting point for brainstorming kind of a thing, where it's like if I don't already have a clear idea of what I want to do, that's a really great tool for that. But I think if a creative position is going to be your job, I think it is very important to have the kind of like that baseline of skills so that you can, exercise that control if you want to.
Yeah. I think I see that a lot with what I do. In my world, it's like a SEO is taken over by AI engines, and they're going to have all this data and what you should do as a recommendation. And here's the outcome, and here's the button click that all you have to do is push this one little button, and it'll magically do this stuff for you, which is nice to have. But also knowing exactly what goes into all that and knowing what it really means is important, because you can actually hurt yourself sometimes or help yourself on the SEO side by following AI recommendations. But on the creative side, I don't know what I don't know. I'm kind of never was a Photoshop person. Every time I see a new creative thing pop up, whether it's the new Grok 30-second B-roll or the Canva is not like your mom's Canva, it's actually got some cool AI features in there now, and it's doing more things than it's ever done before. And Descript is not just video editing or audio editing software. It can go through and take the ums out. It can take the studio. It can we've had some bad audio on this before. It can kind of fix audio and make it sound more studio quality and things like that. So every time I see that kind of stuff, I'm like, wow, this is really awesome. I have no background in audio engineering, art design, creative. So everything to me on this side of the AI world is like shiny, bright objects. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's really cool. But that kind of goes back into like my background is this is one of my weak spots. And so I'm happy to see that we can move forward with some tools. Want to put a bow on this, or do you have anything else you want to bring up? Any other secrets that we haven't uncovered yet today, Maggie?
I mean, I don't know. It's growing every day. I mean, like I said earlier, even just a year ago, these things look drastically different. And like you were asking about the Photoshop functions, and I think back in the days when I was using Photoshop like all the time, I think the generative fills and kind of autocorrection kind of things, the reason that I didn't like them is because they weren't polished, they weren't perfect. They were, early days of AI stuff, but now I'm sure if I circled back and checked it out, it would be, blow you away. I think things are going to continue to evolve, and we're in a world, AI is not coming, it's here. We are in that landscape.
Yeah, I was listening to somebody talk at a conference a while back, and I think one of the cool things I think VML was doing was they're taking a time-lapse photo of a AI creative prompt, and they're like doing this prompt like once a month, every month for like the last, maybe it's been like 2.5 years now. And it's getting better and better and better, and every month. And now they probably have an archive of 24, 36 images of the same exact prompt. And the way that image rendered 2 years ago versus yesterday, it's amazing. And then if you stitch that all together and kind of make a time-lapse video out of that, that'd be a really cool piece of AI art that you like, kind of digital marketing evolving. I thought about doing that, and then I forgot about it until just now. I was like, that's a good idea. I should do that. And then I never did.
Well,
so
there's your chance.
I know. So Maggie, tomorrow I need you to, I'm just kidding, put that on somebody else's plate because I will forget. But those are some cool ideas. We're neck deep in creative experimentation mode. We're playing with things. Even just yesterday, I think I'm switching from a ad AI software to another ad AI software because I'm like, this one's just better now. So I'm not, attached to anything too much. I'm kind of keeping my options open. And on the next call, we can get into more on, I keep saying call. This is not a Zoom meeting. This is a podcast. On the next episode, we will get into more of the ad creative AI part of it and kind of the tools and kind of what that looks like through working with other ad platforms, Google, and some of the third-party softwares that are out there. To put a bow on this, Canva is no longer your just for social media posts, your mom's Canva. It's AI powered. It can do some video things. It can do some presentation things. It can do a lot more. And if it needs to fill in some gaps where it's like, can you do this with it? You can kind of just prompt it and it'll take you to the next level. It can resize things. It can it's like a graphic designer without all of the detailed graphic designer chops that probably a human has. There's probably still room for humans to get in there. And like, if you really need custom, creative, awesome art, you're not going to find that as well in AI land. If it's something you really have exact vision for, like there's no way I can really prompt this, it has to be done by a person, then you're obviously going to be using people. But for most of the stuff that we're doing, Canva's kind of a really good go-to.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot more accessible than a lot of, other editing platforms. And they've even just said even twice, gross. You
get to use Descript to edit that out later.
I sure can. Look at that. Plug in the brand.
Yeah. That's the other thing is like did you want to finish that thought?
Oh, I was just going to say that they've updated a lot of their image editing actual tools. So you can do a lot of Photoshop functions within Canva. Like there are tools where you can go in and, customize things, change the brightness, heal that spot.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, we were playing with that because you were trying to work on the artwork for this podcast. No, it's like, I think I have a black eye. Can you lighten my eyes up for me?
That was all Canva.
You healed me. Thank you. Yeah, Canva's getting better every day. We like Canva. The Descript editor, it's got Studio AI on it. It's got Underdub. It's got Underlord. It's got a lot of ways you can go through and AI edit with prompts and make this not so polished podcast at times sound like it's got some high end edits in it, and it doesn't take Maggie a day or hours to do it. She can do it in literally a couple of minutes. Really, it's not that hard. So we like Descript. We also can do Descript with videos. The lm.google.com. It does the infographic.
Don't look at me. Yeah.
Oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank on what the Google other AI tool that spits out infographics is? We were talking about earlier. Notebook LM.
Yeah.
Notebook LM is also good at creating graphics, scorecards, quizzes, infographics. I already said infographics, reports, and Gronk. I say Gronk again. Grok is really good at maybe expanding on some of the future of B-roll because it can do 30 seconds now. The super, super cool thing that we're really playing with, the bleeding edge of creative right now for me, and it sounds like it's for you too, is maybe Claude. That latest Claude update has done some things that's a little different than other things. It's not quite Nano Banana. Nano Banana is still Nano Banana, but Claude I can basically give it any sort of wireframe design, idea, concept, ask it for its thoughts. It'll give me real analysis and good insights back and say, I wouldn't do it that way. Maybe do it this way. Or did you think about this? And I'm like, yeah, let's try it that way. And then not just ideate, but then spit out the code or spit out the image that does that.
Well, and even on like the writing level, Claude is miles above ChatGPT. Like just the quality of writing, it sounds more human. ChatGPT has a very specific sound when it comes to, write this case study for me, or write these report notes. Like it sounds like ChatGPT. You can find ChatGPT, in a paragraph.
Oh yeah, I can prompt ChatGPT now a question, and I can usually guess like the first 10 words coming back. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that.
Great observation, Kevin.
Great
Let
observation.
Me think. 10 emojis later.
You're like, okay, I just wanted the answer. I didn't need the pat on the back while I was asking.
I don't need you to glaze me.
Yeah, I know they do that. Yeah, ChatGPT is ChatGPT, and I don't know that I even use ChatGPT that much. I told people previously that I'm a Gemini person when it comes to day-to-day quick stuff because it knows my Google Workspace history. It knows my Google Drive. It knows my emails. It knows my stuff, and it goes, "Here's the answer that you want, big guy." I know you asked that, before, or, something's changed in this email string that has changed my answer. Now here's the better answer. And I'm like, thank you. You're the best. I can also give Claude emails and data and reports. And it's kind of funny because I'll ask the question to it. I'm like, I think I can't figure this out. And it'll be like, yep, you're right. You can't figure this out. That's a good observation.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah. But it does help me realize I'm not crazy sometimes. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still crazy, but not as crazy. I'm like, no, that was a good question. I can't figure it out. You need this extra piece of data to figure that question out. I'm like, okay, at least I know that I'm right. It's not just me thinking I'm right.
A little reassurance.
Yeah. So that was the recap. That's what we're using. We'll get into Add Creative next episode. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.